Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Mike Opperman. Welcome to my channel, Think Outside the Cube. If you like the content in the video, go ahead, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. So the topic for today's video is the difference between being honest and being rude at work. It's usually pretty easy to identify the extremes when someone's being honest versus when someone's being rude. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to go into a bit more nuance so you can apply the knowledge and navigate through the gray area in your professional and even personal situations. So let's just go ahead and start with this general tenet. Honesty is better than lying. Again, this doesn't give you free license to just say whatever you want.
Oh, I said it with all due respect.
No, that doesn't mean you get to say whatever you want to say to me.
Sure as heck does.
No, it doesn't
It's
mean
in the
that.
Geneva Convention. Look it up.
But people will appreciate uncomfortable and perhaps even hurtful honesty rather than just a bold-faced lie. Treat people like the adults that they are. And most of you who are watching this video, I'm sure you don't appreciate being infantilized or treated like a child. Another benefit is that most people will respect you for being honest with them because they know it's difficult to be honest sometimes. All right, so the dial to this tenet is tact. In order to be effective communicating truths, you must use tact. All right, so what does that mean? It means choosing your words carefully and understanding the situation. It means having self-awareness of how you're coming off to others and also being empathetic to how someone might receive your message. Essentially, it's emotional intelligence. So this is the dial that allows you to really toe the line between being honest and being rude. And emotional intelligence and tact will allow you to ensure your message is heard and received in the right way. So I had this situation come up several years ago where I had a colleague who had a body odor issue. It was the elephant in the room that no one expressed to him directly, but everyone and their mother were talking about it behind closed doors. It was obvious this person was not only oblivious to his own scent, but also the gossip behind his back.
So, what is the scuttlebutt? Anybody hear anything? Nothing? I got a little something.
I really felt bad for the guy. So one day I took him aside and we had a quick chat about it. I didn't make it super formal by sending him a meeting invite. I just casually walked by his desk and asked if he had a minute to chat. The goal here was to not raise any alarms or suspicions and really set the foundation of just a casual conversation. I then directed him to an open meeting room, shut the door so that we could talk in private and really make sure no one could overhear the conversation. So then I started with some just quick small talk about the weekend and then transitioned into saying, hey, how great his work has been over the past couple of months and that we're glad that he's a part of the team. It was easy to say all of that because it in fact was true. But then after that, I pivoted the conversation to the tough feedback saying that his work is what he really should be known for and not his presence in the office. So I purposely used the euphemism presence to soften the blow a little bit before I became direct as to avoid confusion. So as expected, he wondered what I meant by presence. And then I responded that this is a tough feedback to give and that I would be doing him a disservice if I didn't make him aware that his body odor is noticeable in the office and people are commenting on it. Of course, after telling him this, he was highly embarrassed and shook. He reactively apologized and started saying things like, I can't believe this, I take regular showers, yada, yada, yada. Then I said, listen, I know this is tough to hear, but I assure you it's true, and I want to help get this right. So again, the focus is on the great work you do. The purpose for saying this was to make sure the message was heard loud and clear. There was no room for misinterpretation, but I also wanted to show that I wanted to help and I wanted to be kind about it. So then I said, hey, I'm not going to go into the details of every little thing, but definitely take the time tonight to reevaluate your routine and habits and then adjust course. Try to identify causes for when the odor is most prevalent and incorporate things to mitigate it, like carrying a stick of deodorant, bringing a change of clothes. I didn't want to humiliate the guy by asking really personal, specific questions like, hey, how often do you shower? How often do you wash your clothes? But I did want to communicate the urgency of this issue by saying, take the time tonight, instead of generally saying, think about it, or some nebulous time in the future. So then he meekly nodded his head, and I reiterated that I knew that this was tough, and that I'm only saying that for his benefit. He agreed and thanked me, and then committed to resolving the issue that night. I wrapped it up by asking if he had any other questions. He asked if anyone else in the office knew, to which I said, I don't know. But I have heard another person talking about it. Truthfully, I knew of at least 5 people who had mentioned it, but it didn't serve any benefit to humiliate and embarrass the guy even further. This conversation served the intended purpose. So fortunately, that was the last conversation we needed to have about his presence, and we could get on with our work. Now, not every conversation is going to have higher stakes like this.
5. I'll stay. I suggest you hit, sir.
I also like to live dangerously.
As you wish, sir.
But the same tenet and framework applies. Being honest allowed my colleague to do something about the issue before it became an even bigger one and salvage his reputation at the company. So if I were to do nothing or lie, the issue would continue to compound and, even worse, potentially continue to follow him with new companies. Most people do not want to continue doing things wrong or offending others. It may be a blow to the ego to find out, but once the dust has settled down, it allows for corrective action to take place. To use maybe a less extreme example, say you have a colleague who's consistently sending you reports late. Maybe your colleague doesn't even realize that missing the deadline is that big of a deal. Being honest allows you to not only course correct, but get what you need, and also provide a learning opportunity for your colleague to understand the importance from your perspective, and also why deadlines are important from a meta perspective. The key takeaway here is emotional intelligence. This story is an example of a tough conversation, no matter how you slice it. And as I had mentioned repeatedly to this poor guy, the message can go from honest to rude to cruel very quickly. Having tact requires understanding the situation and knowing when to ease into a discussion versus being direct, to ensure the other person is in a position to truly listen and digest what's being said and not just react emotionally. It's also about being deliberate with your language and framing to know how to appropriately communicate your message and show high levels of empathy. This is how you can skirt the delicate balance between being honest and then not being rude. Okay, that's the end of my video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, remember to go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Remember, don't think outside the box, think outside the cube. I'll catch you in the next video.